Take one. Action.
So fun.
So what's going on in this artwork?
This artwork is an artwork that I started in 2012, and I wanted to make somewhat of a shout-out artwork, as I have studied art as a layperson and as a student. I began to notice that a lot of artists will make a piece like a statement piece. This one in particular, I got the idea of the pose from a work by Elizabeth Vigée Lebrun. She actually has a piece in the Fort Worth Art Museum. Uh, it's a self-portrait of her as a painter, and I took some of the character from that, of the pose. The MW is a character also that I made up. It's a combination between Mae West and Captain Janeway. It's like everything in this painting is about opposites. So it's also about the masculine and the feminine, doubled as the blade and the vessel. There were so many things that I liked about that character, the name that I made for it, that I wanted to devote an entire painting to that character. Because it kind of encompassed really strong, powerful women. At her time, Mae West was the highest paid entertainer of her time. And then move forward to the brave new age of space travel, and we have Captain Janeway, and she's the captain of a starship. And I started, for some reason, I always, like many people I suppose, think about the opposites and where is the center of that? How do you come, because one is, from burlesque and,
Yeah.
kind of tawdry
Uh-huh.
and fun, and yet feminine and yet powerful. Like she had
Absolutely.
an entourage, right? And then you move over to the Captain Janeway, and I would think about her, and she's powerful, but in a completely different way, like in a completely non-illicit way. Like I never saw anybody say anything inappropriate to Captain Janeway, right?
Right.
So that's what that character about. The Madame Westword character is what this painting is about. And that is me forming some kind of identity, through this painting, looking back at myself, which became really important very later on.
How so?
Well, the painting's actually called Precognition, because there's several things in this painting that I feared or thought of right before I actually ended up starting it. And okay, so we'll just start with that, the face. I started it in 2012, and I was about 37, and I was thinking about, I use myself as a model quite a bit, so I thought, well, your face is not going to look like that forever. You should start taking pictures, like daily in different lights, and yourself is your best model because it's free, and no one gets hurt if you mess it up because it's you. And it's just nice to have that catalog. 2 years later, I had a palsy, and so the left side of my face didn't work anymore for almost a year it took. And then still today, actually, that is part of I didn't realize how strong of a relationship I had with this painting until I started talking about it. But just recently, that comes to the background. I was painting my favorite place, which is Elm Street and Crowdis in Deep Ellum. And I just love to sit right there and just watch all the people come and go. Sometimes I don't even drink or, whatever. I just like to be down there. I just like the feeling of it. And, well, sometimes I go out and drink and have a great night and dance. Sometimes I go down for lunch. But I started going down there when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, going to art galleries with my mom. And then I started sneaking down there by nefarious means any way I could when I was about 13. We won't go into that. But this just like became my spot. And so very recently, with everything going on and all the shutdowns, and then the violence that happened down there, violence so, I guess, overwhelming that people felt it necessary to put windows, boards on all the windows, and everything was shut down. And we drove, me and a friend of mine, we thought, well, let's just go see what it looks like. And it was heartbreaking because there was maybe one person walking, and there was one police car in a parking lot, and every other building was shut down. No lunch, no dinner, no music, no songs, no crazy hairstyles, no dresses, no chains, no thumping bass, nothing, just silence and dust. And I decided that this painting, yay, somebody wants to call me. Of course he would call.
Of course.
Yeah, and he'll do it again. So
Yeah,
let me
he will
just block
silence
it out.
it.
Yeah, let me just put it on vibrate because I know he's not. Oh, God, damn It'll just be more real. Oh my God, because I know he's going to call me right now.
Yes.
How do I get it to go all the way to vibrate? Okay, now it's on 0.
Okay, cool.
Yes! We got some ambiance.
We do that too. Okay. Take 2. Action.
So I actually went downtown and saw it looking this way. Now that's kind of important because this painting sat from 2012 to 2021 about 99.9% finished. Because when I started painting it, I realized that all the details that were in the background didn't belong in this painting. And I knew it had to be about the sun also because that became important to me. And later, now I'm into astronomy to an utter degree. But yeah, that loss of place is represented here. Now, if you'll notice, it's also got a giant Texas on it. I'll just go ahead and point that out. This is the Red River. And we have the Gulf.
Yep.
And then this is the eastern part, and of course the Panhandle. And it's about the blue skies and the oceans.
Which area of the artwork would you say is most important and why?
Looking back on it now, I would think that it would be the sun. When I was composing it, I absolutely did not know that that was going to be in the center. But I realize now it would only have to be in the center. Of course, the sun's going down, and right at the bottom, it's really beautiful. And then, of course, at the top, you have a little bit of storm. But I came to be really interested in astronomy through studying gigantic stones, megaliths. And the more I studied those, the more I realized that they were all about astronomy, and that even the eldest people or eldest history that we know is really mostly related with astronomy. Some of the cave paintings, um, they're astronomical in nature. The pyramids, astronomical in nature. Now, at the time I was painting this, did I know that? No. That's again why I call it precognition. In 3 different ways. I prophesized that my face was going to be important, which 2 years later quit working. I couldn't teach. I'm a teacher by trade, so I couldn't teach for a while because I couldn't actually speak at that time.
I remember.
I couldn't finish the painting because it felt like the absence of what I really loved about it was gone, and that was somehow more interesting than putting all the details in. So I was really conflicted as an artist on how to finish it. And then myself just being overwhelmingly interested in astronomy, and in particular the Dendera zodiac, which once was in Egypt, now is in the Louvre. And I almost see the buildings as monoliths now, not even buildings. And I think that's what was very important about the painting to me then, that I didn't know. And that's why this painting has been so informative. And so when I pulled it out, after I saw the ghost town was a ghost town and I could actually finish it, because it did happen. It's not just me being overly dramatic, thinking about everything I love not being there. Well, how is anybody going to appreciate that? Well, you just have to paint it because that's what it is. And now it is that because it was that. And I pulled the painting out and I set it in front of me and I started looking at the face every day. And I kid you not, seeing my face as it was started making my own face come up more.
What?
Even 6 years later, from having that, now it might just be coincidence, like the whole thing of, you can say that about any painting, right? Anything you can paint can come true. People often talk about the most famous painting in the world, Mona Lisa. You know, why is there nothing but landscape and river behind it? And I think one interpretation has been that the artist is trying to talk about, paradise being no one there, or paradise being everyone there without nothing. I mean, this whole thing is about, I guess it's an overused word, but the dichotomy of existence. I don't want to, but yeah, it's been very important for me. I started it in 2012 when I was still teaching, and I wanted to do like a really accomplished oil work. I do a lot of fun painting, moving stuff around, and I'm good at rendering, but I wanted to challenge myself to do something more substantial. And I came along I looked at several other self-portraits by several other masters. And then I also kind of incorporated the idea of a CD cover or a backdrop of an interview. So I'm imagining all kinds of things going on in this painting. But, being from Texas is, I've been to some other places, and I would always come home. Let's just put it that way. I'm really glad I'm from Texas. So that had to be in there. Plus, I just love the shape of Texas. Isn't it just a gorgeous shape?
Yeah,
It's
cool.
And we have everything. We have blue skies, fields. I very importantly put the only green part in the painting up there at the top of the 2 V's, which are the vessels. There's so much symbology in here. I could go on and on about it. But it's giving birth,
Sure.
to it. Now this V in particular, the red V, it goes back to talking about the motion of the sun. Because as I was talking about earlier about the megaliths and how I got into astronomy, and then I learned, because when we all see, we're looking in the books or we're seeing even, no one ever shows you that the sun moves or talks about how it moves. And so I started doing some research, and I found out that we are moving, it's called the apex of the sun, and the sun and the whole solar system is actually moving towards this area of our celestial sphere. And it's called Lyra or Vega. And that just became really important to me in my life. But again, the V in the center of the painting was painted long before that happened. I don't know. It's just really cool to be painting things and then they're kind of happening for you.
Sure.
It's always been really interesting with this painting.
Cool. What choices did you make while making the art to influence the viewer's eyes and how they move throughout the artwork?
I think the most important thing, talking about eyes and the viewer, is I wanted to have an expression that was somewhat expressionless. It's almost like I wanted to do what the master could do. Make a person that looks like they're smiling and not smiling at the same time. Like it's a blank face canvas. Like you don't really know what she's thinking. You know she's thinking because she's looking right at you and she sees you, but she's not sad and she's not happy. But it does seem very tangible in some way, without being, while still yet remaining somewhat ephemeral. And as far as the other parts of the composition, I wanted there to be some rest and pull this orange color out towards the outside. And when it came down to, I wanted it to have a lot, depth going back towards the larger buildings. But when I started painting it, I really, really liked that there was some kind of a barrier here. Like it wasn't just leaking out everywhere. And I really like how the parts of the Texas came down, because I could have put the Texas, in the center or all on there, make sure all the Texas is there. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was more interesting to kind of make it, bigger, because that's how the state is bigger than a square. It just emphasizes its size. And I really like how these ocean areas became kind of really abstract and kind of splashing up the building. And I really like how you can't see the Texas at first. Like people will come to me, later and say, "Oh, I didn't realize there's a Texas in it." Mm-hmm. And of course, the hat is just part of the Madame Westword character, and the very non-alluring jacket. That's like the hottest thing Captain Janeway has. I'm telling you, it's that jacket. So again, I put these two characters together again. I know I'll take that back, because there's been episodes where she was, dolled up, but this is about business. Apparently, she was downtown that day, not to go dancing. She was downtown to see what it looked like,
Yeah.
and it looked like a hot mess, a real hot mess. I guess I should talk a little bit about the chessboard and the jester clothing.
Here, there's kind of a question about that. Let me. Well, not. Well, the question is describe the lines of this artwork.
There are a lot of very interesting lines. We have the whole Texas, all the lines, and that's really good play off of the undulating lines. Then we have this chessboard, and this is kind of me thinking about things in order, things as a game that can be played and won and lost. And, coming to the point in your life where you kind of know that's not really what's going on, that the things are a little bit more complicated than that. And when you get to that level of thinking about things, you just kind of have to take a stance that whatever comes your way, in whatever order, that you will appreciate it for what it is and take what it from you can and give what you can. But what comes into your realm, and sometimes even what we show isn't always what we want to show. So that takes forgiveness on all sides. And I think, thinking about life more as a series of events that you try to do your best at, rather than some kind of game to win or lose. I think that's what I was trying to express by having the chessboard, and then having, no matter how big the queen or the queen, no matter how high and mighty they might get onto this board that stacks, there is one person that can still make fun of the king or the queen and the court, and that's the jester. And it's also about kind of like knowing when to be more planned, or and then when to just kind of let go and be more open, because it takes both. No one can survive on just one or the other, I don't think. Or maybe that would be a different kind of existence that I know of. But all the plans you make, they go this way or that way.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like yin and yang.
But then sometimes when you try to about free things, it gets too free, and you're like, no, I have to have some kind of a sieve in my life. I have to have some kind of a filter on what gets in and what gets out. It can't just have everything. And I think that that jester being your own jester, saying, hey, wait, that's just a little too far. We'll make light of it, or we'll make fun of your own hubris, or your own ability to think, have delusions of grandeur, or things like this. Just keeping that in balance. Everything's important, everyone's important. Where's my place in it? I don't think it's going to be found here. It just moves more towards this way. And you'll see that this is the vessel, and then one of them has both. And these are the masculines joined. I guess it also stands for man and woman.
I was thinking that.
And that's the cool thing about painting. And going with things you don't really even know that, you're thinking about it yet. You just keep doing it. And I think that's why artists say they find themselves in their paintings, or their paintings relate back to them, who they are.
What adjectives would you use to describe this artwork?
I would think eye-catching, perplexing, and I hope interesting.
Yeah, of course. That's what every artist hopes for.
Yes. Love it or hate it, just don't walk by it.
Yeah. Exactly. What do you find anything strange about this painting?
Everything is strange about this painting. From the time I started it, to how my face quit working, to how I couldn't work on it anymore because I didn't know how to finish it, to going downtown and seeing it as a ghost town and then realizing I actually can finish it because it actually looks like that, to realizing that I'm into astronomy, to realizing what the Madam Westword character meant to me. Just everything has been strange about it, and I'm so glad I started it. I don't even know if it's finished yet, y'all. You better buy it fast.
Right?
It might change if you like it like that. I guess we could do a closing question and then maybe talk 5 minutes about the other painting.
Sure.
Because I'm hungry. Let's go get a sandwich.
Me too, honestly. Now I'm like
Uh,
munchies.
let's get Subway and go back
Let's
to
see
the
if
house.
I can find a good one.
Let's get a tacos or Subway and go back to the house. McDonald's.
Okay, this could kind of like maybe be like a summarizing of all of that kind of question. Maybe.
Oh, I got an idea. Something I wanted to show. I'm so glad we had a brief pause. Because then I won't have to go back and get, I did actually have a
Oh,
picture
cool. Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a model. And this is the painting by Elizabeth Louise Vigée Lebrun.
Let me see it.
Now, you can see I was kind of trying to go after her. Great.
Well, first, just some random questions that should probably be in there. What is the size of the artwork?
The artwork is 60 inches in size, and it's on really good stretcher bars. It's 100% cotton, and I sanded it like it was a car or a baby's bottom that I loved until it was completely flat, like 5 times before I ever started painting on it, because I wanted it to be like really flat and nice. I do a lot of textured work, but I was like challenging myself. No, if you want texture, you have to paint it. And that's probably why there's not a lot of texture in it, because I don't like doing that. you can see it is really flat. Like
Yes.
the MW is flat, the face is flat in front of you. Even where it's supposed to go back, it's flat. It's very. I don't really realize. Not that it doesn't have depth, and you can't tell that that eye is smaller than that eye, and the lips go back in space, and that the sun is way back there. But it is. I want to say I've always been really influenced by very vibrant colored artwork of a more easterly inclination. Just wood block printing, hieroglyphs, very simply stated. I don't want to, not that I don't appreciate it, but yeah.
How much is the artwork?
The artwork is $12,500.
Do you have any final notes about the artwork that you'd like to make? Would you like to go back to how the Bell's palsy affected the face? Because you were talking about
Well, after that happened to my face, I really went through a period where I could not look at it for a while. Like I had to put it away because I said my face doesn't look that anymore, and it might not ever look like that again. In fact, I started thinking, well, you got to be cute once, so now you just get to walk around. Because it was really bad. People like now you won't notice until you talk to me for a while, or I tell you. You might notice a little here, but it really affected me. People thought maybe I had a stroke. It was a difficult period. I had to
Yeah.
put the painting away. Not only did I not know how to finish it, but I left it there because I was hoping as I passed by it every day, you'll have the feeling you should paint the cars and the people and the light poles and everything should be in there. I was like, and then I had this idea of painting different colored waves all going to the center because that's really what was important to me, the feeling of it. Like I did some research in physics about the double slit experiment and how photons, once joined, can talk to each other from miles away. And I thought all these different ideas, and in the end, it just sat.
Yeah.
Literally until 2020 happened, and I got it out and started looking at it again. I even finished some of the buildings off. I was like, oh, look at that, this building, and I was like, no, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And
So you brought basically like the 2012 painting into 2020.
because
Exactly.
it happened.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I should tell you the